Hi, my name is Adriel and today I'm talking from Denver, Colorado. I recently moved here for my advanced standing DDS program at University of Colorado School of Dental Medicine. During my transition, I was fortunate enough to get two more acceptances, one from UCLA and the second one from USC. So that sums up to be 4 acceptances during my first admission cycle for advanced standing DDS. Before I continue with the video, by the end of the video, I'm going to talk about how I plan to help other candidates and how I'm looking forward to help other people to manage this process and how they can achieve the goals that they want regarding their DDS in the United States. So before that, let me tell you about UCLA and USC. What was so special about them? Well, UCLA, amongst all the schools, I think was the only school that took a 3 hours of written exam based solely on restorative. So before the interview, they took a 3 hours written exam, and I wouldn't say it was very easy, but I was able to do a good job, and I think I made some sensible answers that got me in there. But even on the day of interview, they had a whole scenario based on restorative, and they went in quite a detail regarding it. And now coming to USC, I think except for the interview, the next thing they were looking for was a problem-based learning. So in problem-based learning, they put you in a group and they give you a scenario, they ask you questions, and they see what's your approach like, how do you deal with other people, how good you are in your emotional intelligence in dealing with the problem and working in a team, which is very important in the United States. So I think I was able to manage that well enough, and I'm glad I was able to get accepted at these prestigious schools. So one other question before I continue is I've been getting from a lot of candidates is how do you decide in which school you're planning to go? And I've been trying my best to articulate an answer which is sensible and which is easy to understand. But trust me, this whole scenario where you have more than one acceptance is not an easy situation, and I've been in that situation, and I can tell you out of my own example that once you get more than one acceptance, things become complicated. And before I tell you in more detail, one thing I have observed on Facebook, most of the people who are coming up there and fighting that, oh, this school is better than that and that school is better than this, are mostly people who only got one acceptance and they studied in the school that they got accepted to, and now they are just advocating their own school. Well, if I just advocate University of Colorado because I am studying here, well, that's not a very solid and high resolution argument. The point is, every person's situation is different, and that's what I'm going to go in detail. I'm going to break down the things that I have seen, the patterns, into some categories. Amongst the candidates, majority, I'm not going into detail. There might be some things I'm missing out at this point, but most of the candidates that I see are either coming at an age group of 25 to 28, 29, who are comparatively younger and who are single and have less responsibility. They have families that could support them. They are coming to United States for the first time. For these candidates, going to a school like NYU, UCLA, USC in bigger cities is a much more of a bigger dream. And obviously, when I was in that age and in that scenario, I would rather dream of being in bigger city, enjoying and be a man of town. You get to enjoy what you can and That's how things are. But on the other hand, the second category which I saw was people who have responsibilities, who are married or are in commitments, and they have families to support, female or male. For them, things become quite different because they have to make their decisions wisely. And one thing in addition to that is, if you lived in United States for quite a while, and I've been living here since 2016, is that your scenario about living in bigger cities, or your perspective about living in bigger cities, and I would say enjoying the luxuries of bigger cities, your perspective changes on that, because you're very careful in what kind of living you're going to be availing, especially when you reach a point where the city life is not so much fun for you. There are people who like smaller towns, who like nicer people and slow pace of life. So that's also one scenario. The third thing is, if you're considering that you want to go for a postgrad, there are some schools which are more renowned than the other for their postgrad residencies success rate. So that's also something which some candidates presume and include in their decision making. But one very, very important consideration is the amount of money you will be investing in the school. If you got accepted into school and there's a difference of more than like $30,000 or $40,000 in the tuition fee, which in future gathering up the loan and the interest of the loan will go up to $80,000-$70,000, that's something you need to consider, because the amount of loan you will be taking or the amount of money you're investing, and if there's an interest which will be incurring on top of it, you need to watch that out, because that's something you might regret later on if you don't choose or if you do not select your school wisely. And in addition to that, one other thing is, I've seen people making decisions based off their support group. For example, I live in Ohio, and I would rather offer a school which was closer to my house, because I got family, I got support, I got people that I know, and it would be much more easier for me, because I personally believe that tuition fee is one thing. The second biggest cost that hit you as a student is your living cost, and you should be very wise in deciding that. And when you're a dental student, you don't have much luxury to live farther away from the university campus, because in some other programs you might have the luxury or the flexibility, and God knows with COVID things are changing on a daily basis, so you rather prefer living closer to your university so you can make the best out of your time and learn more. So I would say, even along with that, there are some more factors which are included in decision making. People have spouse who are working in one state and they got admission in another state, and they want to live near to them. So that's also something very important. Some people don't want to live in snow, and that's why they end up being in California or Texas or some states which are hotter. So that's also some factors that people include in their decision making. But what would be my advice? My advice is, you make a decision that you will least regret after 10 years. And one of the biggest factor is, you should consider the cost of the program. That is very, very important. You need to consider how much of money you will be investing. And I'm going to give you an example. I know a doctor who got into 2 programs, and he wanted to go for the program which was more costly, and I did had a word with him. And if that's a bigger program and you want to go for it, just make sure if you're going for it, you make your time worthwhile up there. If you're investing 50, 60, $70,000 more up there, make sure you leave no stone unturned. You do your best, you try to stand out in your class, and you make the best out of that experience. My point is, don't just go to a bigger school for the sake of name, that in future when I come out I can brag that I'm coming out of UPenn or University of Michigan or from UCLA. So that's something very I would say deep, that you need to understand, why am I picking this school? Just for the sake that I want to show my friends back in India or Pakistan that I got into an Ivy League, or am I going there because I really want to make my life better and the lives of people around me? So once that figured out, things might be a bit easier. And even after that, if things feel difficult, I would say you learn to choose your battles. You learn to choose your own poison. Because sometimes no matter what decision you will take, you're going to regret. So then you take a leap of faith. That's how it works. And you try to make the best out of your decision. So even if it's a wrong decision, you work so hard that it becomes the right decision. And that's how life works. So that being said, there are some other considerations as well. Maybe later sometime I could discuss this in a topic, but what I'm planning to do now. So coming down to all the candidates who are watching this and the people, if you're a professional, dental or non-dental as well, what I'm planning to do a webinar or a YouTube live. And what I'm going to be trying to do is I'm going to try to answer the questions that most candidates have been asking me. So I've seen the patterns of questions that are being asked are pretty similar. And I'm usually answering the same thing all over and over again. Like how I can improve my profile, how I can find volunteer work, how I could improve my interview skills. I got waitlisted, I got rejected. Am I too old for this program? Am I too young for this program? I had a gap in my resume because I got married or I had family. And if I don't have research, what could I do? So a lot of these questions, and there are many, many more. Like, should I do masters? Should I not do masters? Preceptorship, and stuff like that. And usually the answers are pretty much the same, but I keep on repeating it. And if you have further more questions, you could ask me on that day. But what I want from you in terms of this webinar or YouTube live, what I want you to, if you wish to be a part of it, and if you want to ask questions that you want me to deal with, I would request you that let me know in what time zone are you, because right now I'm in Mountain Daylight time zone, and some people are in EST, some people are in California, in Texas, then there are people in Middle East, in Pakistan, in India, and everybody's sitting at different time zones. So I would be able to make a far better decision, which will be in accordance to your time zone and my time zone. If you could write your time zone in the comment, please, that would be really helpful. And the second thing I would request, if you could articulate your answers into smaller and straightforward way, because a lot of time when people talk to me, they are giving long stories. I know you want to express yourself, but take your time, sit down and think about your question. And the more brief and accurate and straightforward and well articulated your question will be, the better I would be able to answer it, and the better I will be able to help you with it. And that's my future plan. If you have any other suggestion, rather than doing a webinar or a YouTube live, you can write in the comment. And I would say, do subscribe to my channel, do share this, do like the video, please. And hopefully I will See you soon in a more meaningful video in the future, and best of luck.